In the quiet hills of 1834 Virginia, a farm hid a secret so dark it would haunt the town for generations. The Sullivan family. A large farmhouse. Sprawling fields. Dozens of children running, or so the neighbors thought. 47, some whispered. No one could explain it. No one dared ask. At first they seemed ordinary, polite, helpful, friendly, yet something felt off. Children were rarely seen outside. When they did appear, their faces were pale, eyes hollow, voices quiet, too quiet. Chains. That was the first hint. At night, faint rattles came from the basement. Neighbors whispered of muffled screams. Some claimed to hear a mother shouting, loud, angry, desperate. Then silence. No one knew the source. No one wanted to find out. The farm itself seemed alive. Doors creaked with unseen weight. Floorboards groaned under invisible steps. Dogs refused to enter. Livestock acted strangely, skittish, fearful. Children never played with neighbors. They never laughed. Sometimes they vanished for hours, and then reappeared, exhausted, terrified, silent. Rumors spread quietly. One neighbor said he saw a child with bruises. Another claimed to have heard someone scream from below the house. But when people tried to investigate, the family's polite smiles froze them in place. The Sullivans had rules. Doors were locked. Visitors watched in uneasy silence. Even the curious felt a chill crawl down their spines. There were reports of odd behavior. A girl standing perfectly still in the yard for hours. A boy staring through windows, eyes unblinking. Neighbors avoided eye contact when passing by, and then came the stories of the basement. Some said the children were chained there. All day, all night. No one dared go down. The door was heavy, rusty, locked tight. One brave man tried once. He peeked through the keyhole. A smell hit him first. Rot, filth, fear. Then he saw shadows moving. Small, trembling figures. Chains rattling. He ran. No one spoke of it afterward. But the whispers grew louder. Eyes darted toward the Sullivan farm. Children trembled if they walked past. Even adults felt it. A dark pulse beneath the farmhouse floorboards. It seemed impossible. Yet everyone suspected. Everyone feared. The farm was ordinary enough. But ordinary hid extraordinary horror. The stage was set. The town was unaware of the true darkness waiting below. And soon, the world would see it. If you want to uncover more of this terrifying story, share, comment, and subscribe now. Don't miss the next. The neighbors had always suspected something was wrong, but nothing could prepare them for the horrors creeping from the Sullivan farm. The town was small. Everyone knew everyone. Everyone knew the Sullivans, yet no one knew the truth. It began with whispers. Children were never seen playing. They were pale, thin, eyes hollow like shadows. Neighbors watched, but never intervened. Strange sounds drifted from the farmhouse at night. A scraping on wooden floors, a muffled cry, a sudden bang. Then silence. At first people blamed the wind. Then the livestock. But deep down, fear lingered. Something terrible was hidden. Deliveries to the farm grew curious. Food, stacks of it, yet the children always looked starved. A baker noticed bread disappearing faster than the children could eat. No one dared ask why. One evening, a neighbor peered through a window. Movement in the shadows. A child dragging something heavy. Chains. He blinked, and it was gone. Even the adults acted strange. Strict rules. Silent punishments. Children whipped for the slightest misstep. Neighbors saw a girl tremble under a father's hand. A boy flinch at a mother's glance. But the worst were the nights. Chains rattled below. A mother screamed, but no one could say why. The sound echoed through the hills. Some claimed they heard 50 muffled cries at once. Curiosity grew. A young man, braver than most, decided to investigate. He tried the basement door, locked. Chains jingled behind it. A smell of decay crawled under his nose. He knocked, no answer. He tried the lock. It held firm. Suddenly a sound, soft at first. A child sobbing. Then another. Then dozens. He ran screaming, face pale as chalk. No one believed him at first, until another neighbor confirmed the cries. Fear gripped the town. Yet the Sullivans smiled politely, invited everyone to tea, charming, polite, normal. But the eyes, they never smiled. The children were always in shadows, never playing, never laughing. Always watching. Rumors grew bolder. Neighbors reported seeing children chained to walls. Some saw bruises, cuts, and emaciation. But fear kept the town silent. The family was dangerous. No one wanted to provoke them, and still the basement remained locked, silent, dark, waiting. The Sullivans ruled the farm like kings of a hidden kingdom. Chains, punishment, fear, they were the law. The children obeyed, broken and terrified. No one spoke. No one resisted. Yet some whispers dared to dream. What if someone saw the truth? What if the town intervened? The tension built like a storm above the hills. Each night the cries grew louder. Each day the children grew weaker, and still the world remained blind. The stage was set for the inevitable discovery. The basement waited. The children waited. The horror was about to be revealed. If this story chills you to the bone, share, comment, and subscribe now. Don't miss where the darkness finally comes to light. The town had feared it for years, but nothing could prepare them for what lay beneath the Sullivan farmhouse. The storm that night was fierce. Lightning split the sky. Rain pounded the hills. Yet a group of men, armed with courage and dread, approached the Sullivan farmhouse. The basement door loomed ahead, heavy, locked, ominous. The townsfolk had avoided it for years. Tonight they could no longer wait. The lock was forced. Chains clanged. The air hit them first. Rot, decay, despair. And then the children. 47, all ages. Infants to teens, chained to walls, to posts, to each other. Eyes wide with terror. Bodies thin. Ribs visible through skin stretched tight. Some could barely stand. Some had grown so accustomed to the chains they did not resist. The rescuers froze. Mouths dry, hearts pounding. The smell, the sight, the unimaginable cruelty. It was more than they could bear. A boy whimpered. A girl flinched at the light. Chains rattled with every tiny movement. It was as if the basement itself moaned in pain. Neighbors gasped. Tears fell. The children had been trapped for years. Some had never seen daylight. Some could not remember their names. Some could not remember love. The Sullivans were nowhere to be seen. They had vanished into the storm. But the evidence of their reign of terror was undeniable. The rescuers worked quickly. Chains were broken. Children were lifted one by one. Soft whispers of reassurance, but fear still lingered. Nightmares would follow them. The trauma would last a lifetime. Outside, the town was silent. The truth had finally been revealed. All the rumors, the whispers, the dread, they were real. Neighbors who had once ignored the signs now shuddered at their own inaction. The farmhouse, once just a place of curiosity, had become a symbol of horror. And the story of 47 children chained in a basement spread like wildfire. The rescue did not end with the children leaving. Doctors arrived. Families were called. Authorities began the investigation, but the horror was permanent. Some children could not walk. Some could not speak. Some would never trust again, and still, the basement waited. Empty now, silent, but forever a place marked by fear. The town learned a grim lesson. Evil could hide in the most ordinary places. Polite smiles could mask cruelty. The Sullivans had ruled with chains and fear, and for decades, the world looked the other way. The storm finally passed. The basement lay quiet, but the echoes of chains, the cries of 47 children, would haunt the hills of Virginia forever. If this revelation shocked you, share, comment, and subscribe. In next, we'll reveal the aftermath and the terrifying consequences that followed. The basement was empty, but the echoes of the Sullivan family's cruelty would never fade. The children were free. But freedom was only the beginning. Doctors worked tirelessly. Many were malnourished. Some were sick. Others bore injuries that would never fully heal. Their eyes, those hollow, terrified eyes, haunted everyone who saw them. The town was in shock. Neighbors who had whispered now cried openly. How could they have ignored it? 47 children, chained, hidden, starving, and they had lived like this. For years, the farmhouse was sealed. The authorities tried to search every corner. Every room told a story. Broken furniture, dark stains on the floors. The remnants of a life twisted by fear and cruelty. Families of the town could not sleep. Every night they imagined those chains. Every creak of a floorboard sent shivers down their spines. Even the rescuers were haunted. They spoke of muffled cries that lingered in their minds, shadows in corners that seemed to move. Some left Virginia forever, unable to bear the memories. The Sullivans were nowhere to be found. They vanished into the night, leaving the children and the chaos behind. The authorities swore to hunt them down. But the family's escape only added to the town's fear. The rescued children struggled. Some could not speak. Some could not trust. Simple sunlight felt overwhelming. The sound of chains in dreams woke them screaming. The world outside the farmhouse was frighteningly normal. Rumors spread faster than news could travel. Travelers whispered of the Sullivan basement, of chains, fear, and despair. The story became legend, a dark chapter of Virginia's history that would not be forgotten. Historians documented the events, but records could not capture the horror. The trauma, the fear, the silence that once ruled the farmhouse, those were beyond words, and yet the town tried to move on. Life continued. Children played outside. Markets opened. But every stormy night brought whispers back. The creak of an old floorboard. The faint sound of chains rattling in the distance. The ghosts of 47 children. Some claimed the farmhouse itself was cursed. Nature reclaimed the fields. Vines crept up the walls. Windows shattered in storms. But locals said the air was still heavy, still haunted. A silent reminder of the Sullivan family's reign of terror. The children grew older. Some left Virginia. Some stayed, carrying the scars of the basement. They told their story sparingly. Their silence was a legacy of horror. The town learned a hard truth. Evil can hide behind ordinary faces. Polite smiles can mask unspeakable cruelty. And sometimes the world looks away when darkness grows beneath the surface. The farmhouse stands abandoned now. But the echoes remain. Chains rattling, soft sobs in the dead of night. Shadows flitting across broken windows. The Sullivan family may be gone, but their terror, their horror, lingers forever, haunted by this story. Share, comment, and subscribe to discover more chilling tales from history. The story is far from over. When the world finally saw the basement, they couldn't unsee it, and the hunt for the Sullivans had begun. The authorities arrived at the farmhouse, clutching lanterns and notes. Hearts heavy with dread. The door had already been forced open. Chains lay broken on the floor. The basement smelled of rot and despair. Every corner seemed to whisper secrets. 47 children had been freed. Yet the room told a story words could not capture. Dark stains on the floors. Walls scarred with cruelty. The silence of years hung thick in the air. Doctors examined the children. Each one told a tale of unimaginable horror. Bruises, malnutrition, fear carved into every gesture. Some could not speak. Some could not walk. Some could only stare, frozen by years of terror. The authorities interviewed neighbors. Stories spilled like water from a broken dam. A child dragged by chains. A girl screaming in the night. A boy standing in a corner for hours, punished for moving. The town's whispers became evidence, and the Sullivans, gone, vanished into the stormy night. The authorities searched relentlessly. Every road, every nearby town, every inn. No sign of them. Only the fear they left behind. The investigation revealed more horrors. Food hoarded in basements. Beds built to restrain children. Records of punishments meticulously noted in journals. The Sullivans had planned it all. Years of cruelty hidden under polite smiles. The children were taken to safe homes. Yet their minds remained trapped. Nightmares of chains. Whispers of shadows. The memory of the basement never left. The town grappled with guilt. Neighbors who had noticed but stayed silent were haunted. How could they have ignored the cries? How could they have let 47 children suffer in chains? The authorities began piecing together the Sullivans' life, their escape routes, their methods, and the chilling realization they were cunning, cold, dangerous. Historians later called it one of Virginia's darkest chapters. Yet for those who lived it, it was personal. The screams, the chains, the hollow eyes, they were forever burned into memory. But even with the children safe, fear lingered. Some claimed to hear chains rattling in abandoned corners. Some claimed to see fleeting shadows near the farmhouse ruins. The evil had left its mark, permanent and unyielding. The stage was now set for justice. The town, authorities and historians all waited. The Sullivans would be found, or so they hoped, and the world would finally learn the full extent of their cruelty. Shocked by the horror? Share, comment and subscribe to see where the Sullivans face justice and chilling testimonies come to light. The courthouse was packed, the air thick with fear, and the town was about to hear truths they weren't ready for. The Sullivans were captured, dragged from hiding, faces pale, eyes cold. The town gathered, buzzing with a mixture of fear, anger, and morbid curiosity. The courthouse doors opened. Neighbors, families, and journalists filled every seat. The judge's gavel fell. Silence. The prosecution began. Witnesses stepped forward. A baker, who once delivered bread to the farm, spoke of children chained in corners. A neighbor recounted muffled cries that haunted their nights for decades. Each testimony peeled back layers of horror. 47 children, chained, starving, silenced. Then the children were called. One by one, many trembled. Some could not speak. Some whispered their stories barely audible. Each word pierced the room. Each glance told a tale of unimaginable suffering. The Sullivans tried to speak. Their voices were calm, almost polite. Claims of protection and discipline spilled from their mouths. But no words could hide the truth. The children's eyes spoke louder than any defense. The town watched, frozen. Shock and horror rippled through the crowd. Whispers of disbelief. Some fainted. Some cried. No one could comprehend how such cruelty had persisted unnoticed for so long. Evidence piled up. Chains, journals, tools of punishment. Every piece a testament to years of careful planning. Doctors testified about the children's injuries, malnutrition, and trauma. Even those who had doubted the neighbors' warnings could not deny the horror. The courtroom was tense. Every detail twisted the knife. The jury deliberated. Hours turned to days. The town waited, holding its collective breath. Finally, the verdict, guilty. The Sullivans were sentenced to life imprisonment. A cheer erupted from the crowd, but it was hollow. The horror could not be erased. 47 children would never be whole. The town's innocence was gone forever, yet the trial did not end the story. Some townsfolk still feared retribution. Some claimed the farmhouse itself was cursed. The basement remained a symbol of terror, even after chains were removed. The children were slowly rehabilitated. Some healed, some never fully recovered. Nightmares haunted them for life. Chains in dreams, whispers in shadows, the echoes of a horror that would not die. Historians later called the trial one of the most shocking in Virginia's history, a dark reminder that evil can hide in ordinary places, that polite smiles can mask unimaginable cruelty, and that silence, fear, and inaction can allow darkness to fester for decades. The town tried to move on, but the memory of the Sullivan family lingered, a warning, a chilling story whispered from generation to generation. If this story chills you to the bone, share, comment, and subscribe to uncover where the haunting legacy of the Sullivan family is revealed. Even decades later, the Sullivan farm refused to let go of its secrets, and the echoes of its horrors still lingered in Virginia. The Sullivans were gone. The children were free. Justice had been served. Yet the horror was far from over. The farmhouse fell into ruin. Nature reclaimed the land. Vines crept up the walls. Windows shattered in storms. But locals whispered that the house still carried a presence. Chains rattled in the dead of night. Soft sobs echoed through the empty rooms. Shadows flitted past broken windows. The survivors grew up. Some left Virginia forever. Others stayed, carrying invisible scars. Nightmares of chains haunted their sleep. Whispers in the dark kept them awake. Even sunlight could not erase the fear. The town tried to move on. Markets opened. Children played in the streets. But every stormy night brought memories back. Creaking floors, rustling leaves, the feeling of being watched. Historians documented the case. Books were written, articles published. Yet no record could capture the terror of 47 children trapped in a basement for years. Some say the farmhouse is cursed. Ghost hunters reported shadows in the windows, faint cries of children in the night, the whispers of the past carried on the wind, and those who dared enter never returned the same. The legacy of the Sullivan family became legend, a cautionary tale of silence, fear, and hidden evil. Ordinary faces can hide extraordinary cruelty. Polite smiles can mask chains, abuse, and despair. Every year the story is retold. New generations hear of the basement, of 47 children, of a family that terrorized an entire town. It chills the blood. It haunts the imagination. It reminds the world that evil can linger long after the perpetrators are gone. And still, some nights, locals claim they hear the chains. Soft cries from the ruins. A cold wind that carries the memory of horror. The Sullivan farm may have decayed, but its shadow remains. The children's stories live on. Some became advocates for abused children. Some spoke rarely, their silence a testament to trauma. All carried the weight of that basement, a darkness no one could ever erase. The Sullivan family may be gone from sight, but the fear they instilled, the suffering they caused, and the lessons of their cruelty remain. A reminder: never ignore the whispers, never look away. Sometimes the most ordinary places hide the darkest horrors. Haunted by history? Share, comment, and subscribe to uncover more chilling true stories that will keep you awake at night.